Aston Martin will be replacing Sebastian Vettel with Fernando Alonso next year. Both are legends of the sport in their own right. Alonso will be the most experienced driver ever, and many have suggested that Alonso's high standards and expectations could create problems at Aston Martin. I'm your host, Dillon Shelley, and first up on Formula World, the downside of replacing Vettel with Alonso at Aston Martin. Aston Martin team principal Mike Krack, while speaking to the BBC, started off by explaining the shortcomings of older drivers. Normally, drivers with this experience, they do not have this desire to win. Normally, this desire goes down, especially if they have won already. He then contrasted that with Alonso's characteristics. Fernando has this unique combination of speed, hunger, motivation, and experience. For us, it makes the perfect candidate. Krack then addressed the downside of hiring someone like Alonso while also looking at the need for it. The downside could be that if the car we deliver is just not good enough, then we know it gets difficult. But it gets difficult with every driver if the car is not fast enough. We think having someone like Fernando is really important to make the next step as a team. He then elaborated on the challenges of managing former champions like Vettel and Alonso. You need to learn to manage champions, which we already did with Sebastian, because these drivers are very demanding. They are quite difficult to manage. I would not even say Sebastian is that difficult to manage if you are transparent, honest, and straight, and I think the same goes for Fernando. He signed off by clarifying that they have ensured that Alonso's expectations match with what the team can deliver. Difficulties arise when expectation does not match deliverables, or when it's not outspoken. He knows very well when he comes here that we will probably not win the first race together. Fast feed. Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto pointed out the reason why it took so long determining the starting grid at Monza was that there were many different interpretations. The rules are not clear enough. That's something we need to look at for the future. Not only how we determine the starting grid after penalties, but also I think the size of the grid penalties is too big. Maybe the 3 engines per driver are too little. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali explained that as always there has to be a balance. Having more drivers, in the end there is always a limit at which you have to keep it. By adding 1 or 2 teams you create a few spots for drivers, but we also have to keep the right dimension that makes the sport successful. In terms of priorities, this is not something for Formula 1 today. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner clarified that there's always been a respect. You can't not respect everything Lewis has done and achieved. It's quite remarkable and maybe never to be bettered. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz suggested that Max Verstappen has done very little mistakes. Whenever he's done mistakes, like in Spain, in Hungary, he's recovered from the mistakes and gone on to win. AlphaTauri team principal Franz Tost feels that his driver Yuki Tsunoda has just got to get his emotions under control. He must be more disciplined, because to ignore a yellow flag in FP2 is not clever. Retired F1 world champion Damon Hill thinks the cost cap will limit other teams' ability to respond. There is only so much Ferrari and Mercedes can do now. In terms of development, it is all about 2023. And 2023 will officially consist of 24 races spread out over the course of 37 weeks. Should the limit of 3 power units per driver be increased next year? Head over to my community page to vote in the poll and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you liked this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my others for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.